Welcome. Today I will show you the action horror sci-fi war film from 2018, Overlord. 1944, a team of paratroopers led by Sergeant Eldson are heading into Germany with orders to take down a Nazi radio tower from a church. Just as they near their target, their plane is shot at by enemy soldiers. The surviving men jump from their plane before it explodes, and they land in the water before swimming to land. Private Ed Boyce reunites with Corporal Ford. Boyce spots Eldson being found by a group of Nazi soldiers and sees as they execute him. Ford keeps Boyce quiet as they move and find Tibbet, Chase, and Dawson. They walk toward their mark, and Dawson accidentally steps on a landmine that blows him up. The others keep moving into the woods as they spot a French woman named Chloe walking by. Ford orders them to run after her since nobody can know they are there. The men catch up to her, and Boyce speaks to her in French to let her know they mean no harm. Chloe reluctantly lets the men follow her back to her home. Chloe leads the soldiers into her village when a neighbor hears her and calls to the German soldiers for her being out past her curfew. Chloe talks to the Germans while the American soldiers stay hidden. She brings them back to her house where she lives with her kid brother Paul and Aunt Simone, who is terribly ill and is heard making an unpleasant and loud wheezing sound. The men hide up in the attic. Paul wants to play catch with Tibbet, but he coldly brushes him off before he and Chase go check out the rendezvous site. Outside, German soldiers take a man and woman outside and execute them. Chloe says this is what happened to her own parents. Chloe tends to Boyce's bullet wound as she explains what happened to her family. Boyce also plays with Paul a little bit. Moments later, more German soldiers arrive for an inspection. They are led by Captain Waffner. Boyce has to hide again as Chloe lets him enter her home. Waffner attempts to rape Chloe, but Boyce comes out and attacks Waffner, and the soldiers keep him tied up in the attic. Ford sends Boyce out to find the rendezvous point. He comes across the church where the tower is located, but he is nearly spotted and is forced to hide in a truck filled with corpses of the other paratroopers. Boyce finds himself inside the church, and he comes across a laboratory where he sees a number of horrific discoveries, such as the head of a woman separated from her body but still speaking to him, as well as a bag with a barely living thing inside. Boyce hides and sees the mastermind, Dr. Schmidt, entering. Boyce finds a fellow paratrooper named Rosenfeld and pulls a massive needle out of him to save him. Boyce also takes with him a needle containing some kind of experimental serum before he and Rosenfeld flee. Boyce brings Rosenfeld back to the attic and shows Ford the serum. He questions Waffner as to what it does, but he refuses to say anything, so Ford starts beating the crap out of him. Boyce explains to Ford what he saw in the church, so Ford starts to devise a proper plan to make their way in and take the tower down. Ford orders Chase to go upstairs to untie Waffner so that he can get them inside. Waffner then attacks Chase and grabs his gun, shooting him repeatedly. Everyone runs upstairs to subdue Waffner, but while they try to help Chase, he ends up dying. Boyce grabs the needle and injects Chase with the serum. He soon comes back to life, but very quickly, he displays signs of enhanced strength and disorientation. Chase then starts to mutate horrifically and become violent. He attacks his comrades, forcing Ford to shoot him repeatedly. This doesn't kill Chase, so Boyce has to smash his head to bits in order to kill him for good. Waffner says that is what the serum does and is essentially being developed by the Nazis to reign supreme for 1,000 years. Waffner then manages to escape as his comrades are outside, and he kidnaps Paul and gives him to the soldiers. Ford and his men fire at the Germans, and Waffner gets half his face shot off as he gets out. Ford then decides they have to take down the tower immediately, with Paul's rescue being second priority. Boyce and Chloe don't like this, so they plan to rescue Paul first. Waffner returns to the lab and finds Schmidt. To Schmidt's horror, Waffner takes 2 needles with serum and injects himself, causing a rapid mutation and making him grow increasingly mad. The Americans use a German soldier they strapped with explosives to make their way into the church. Tibbet and Rosenfeld stay outside killing soldiers, while Boyce, Ford, and Chloe head inside. Chloe is almost attacked by a soldier who tries to get her killed by one of the mutated people. The mutant kills the soldier and goes after Chloe, but she burns him to death with a flamethrower. She manages to get Paul out, but they still come under fire by the Germans. Tibbet manages to get Paul through the gunfire, but is wounded himself. Meanwhile, Boyce and Ford encounter Schmidt and the mutated Waffner, who attacks them. Boyce fights Schmidt as he tries to stab him, but Boyce manages to kill Schmidt. Waffner then gets Ford and impales him on a meat hook. Boyce distracts Waffner as Ford frees himself and injects himself with the serum to fight Waffner. Before Waffner can get Ford, Boyce throws a tank and shoots it, causing an explosion. Boyce tries to help Ford out, but he chooses to stay behind and ensure that the laboratory is destroyed along with the tower. Ford gets an explosive ready as Waffner prepares to attack. Boyce runs out as Ford detonates the explosive, killing himself, Waffner, and every last mutant in there as the whole place goes down. Boyce reunites with the others outside and confirms that Ford is gone, while Chloe tends to Tibbet's bullet wound. Boyce later reports to his superiors on the mission, stating that Ford chose to detonate explosives from inside the tower to ensure that it went down. He also chooses not to mention a thing about the lab or the experiments. The superior then tells Boyce that he and his men will be reassigned. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you would like to see more videos like this.